I sold my consulting firm in February of this year, and if I was to do it all over again, which I am, this is exactly what I do. This is exactly what I help everyone else do, because no matter your industry expertise or your background, you can actually utilize this exact framework to make well north of $10,000 a month. In fact, I think this exact model that I'm about to share with you will have a 50-person company be bought for $1 billion in the next 3 years. And it's all because it comes from the traditional consulting space. We're now just evolving it for the AI revolution. All right, so you're probably here, industry expertise, right? So you might come from supply chain, manufacturing, healthcare. It makes no difference. The important thing here is you know people and you know industry inefficiencies. You might have worked there and you're like, these jobs, all manual data processing, all that crap. You understand it fundamentally, which gives you a competitive advantage. So you have this industry expertise that the outsiders don't. So the Gen Z AI super nerds, right, can't compete with you because they don't know anything about manufacturing and you know everything. And the gap here is, how do you take this industry expertise and this Rolodex of people that you currently have, right, and how do you monetize it? Because up until basically today, this wasn't possible, because you had to learn how to market or sell or make product and do all that stuff. So these people right here were valueless to you, right? Which I totally get. I came from engineering, right? Now you have something to sell them. What you're gonna do, so you're not gonna be confused anymore, you're gonna position yourself as an AI consultant or a vibe consultant, right? And a vibe consultant runs AI audits. Now, why do we run AI audits? Because, as in the doctor's world, they say, prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. A lot of companies out there know that AI is here, they need to adopt it, otherwise they're going to get crushed, but they have no idea what AI is useful to them, where the inefficiencies are that AI can actually solve for, and they need someone to point them out. And this is where the AI audit comes in. And you can be charging $5,000 minimum for these. You go to a 100-person firm, you can be charging $100,000 for an audit, just the audit, okay? So this is your first intake of financial kind of liquidity in this process, and you can get to your first audit within a week or two. And the more experience and the bigger your network, the faster you can do this and the faster you can scale, okay? So inside these audits, you are gonna hold a series of interviews with stakeholders and with employees. And you are gonna discuss their entire workflow. You're then going to map it out and point out the inefficiencies. You are then going to identify what AI can easily help them solve and the costs associated with that. So let's say they have a 100K problem and you're thinking, yeah, we could build an AI solution to solve that. We'll charge them $10,000 for that solution. Think of it, in their first year, they will have saved $100,000, they'll pay you 10, and then every year after that, they will essentially be free. Or, until we get to this last bit, it's not, because it's actually how you're going to monetize in the third degree, okay? So you're going to run these simple audits, right? You're going to basically, at the end of them, you're going to give them a consulting deck, a traditional consulting deck, but it's for AI implementation, okay? Now, you might be thinking, fuck, I don't know how to do AI implementation. Neither do I. That's okay, because your industry expertise is actually the thing that's most valuable in this situation, okay? You just need to know how to run an audit, what questions to ask the people to get the insights, and then how to map out a consulting deck, identifying those opportunities and presenting them in an easy to digest manner. What it's going to end up happening at the end of this engagement, you're going to present to them 5 or 10 solutions that are easy to implement, high ROI, going up to hard to implement, high ROI, because they're the only ones they actually care about. And then you are then going to either send them to an implementation partner, or you are going to white label someone else's service and take a cut off the top. Okay, so very common, 5K minimum for an audit, 10K plus is where you want to be sat. Implementation, starting, I haven't seen someone do an implementation for less than $25,000, but with big firms, you're talking 250 to, I've seen $750,000 for a single implementation for an engineering firm, because it helped with estimation, which was massively valuable. It was a 150-person firm, okay? So implementation, let's assume you take 10% at the top of this, which is totally normal in referral agreements, okay? You've made $5,000 here, and even if we just said it was a 25K implementation, you would have made another 2.5 here. That's low, but we're gonna assume that. So that's $7,500 right there already. Then what you're gonna do, because you're probably thinking, like, okay, I've implemented it, now I'm going back to the rat race, go back, this is me little hamster in the hamster wheel, I hope you like it. And you're probably thinking, hey, I need to now go find more people and do this process again. No, That's where you're getting it wrong. You don't want to do that because you want to now build in recurring revenue, right? So this is I'll put RR, this is the gold standard of every successful business, especially if you're going to sell it. I'm not saying you're interested in that, but recurring revenue is what people want because it gives you stability in your life. You're not hunting every season. My last consulting firm that I sold, we were hunting every single month. We had very little recurring revenue and it just made it stressful, right? You don't want to do that. So here's what you then do. You have these two options. So depending on what you implement, there can be maintenance fees. Now, you might ask, why do people pay maintenance fees? Why do people have MSPs or IT companies? Because IT was always evolving and they needed someone to maintain it when stuff goes wrong, to call someone, hey, can you come and fix this? AI is exactly the same. So there is going to be an MSP for AI where they do the implementation and they manage it. This can easily be 3 to 5K per month per thing you've implemented. So if you implemented a finance bot, you implemented a marketing bot, and you implemented our agent, and you implemented something else, it's like, okay, well, you could be making 9 to 15 grand a month just off the maintenance fees for that, right? Which would totally make sense for bigger companies. This is another thing. This is for big companies. This isn't going to make sense for a 3-person shop. Minimum for running these audits, 10 people. Don't do it for anyone less than a 10-person firm. The other thing you can do with bigger companies, they may have the IT kind of maintenance people that they could rely on. Great. But they'll want consulting from you because AI is constantly evolving and they want someone who's at the cutting edge of it to keep coming back to them and saying, hey, we could probably implement this thing, right? So if you find that resource, this new AI thing's come out, which it does every day, right? You can then go, hey, we can do some implementation. Then you can come back and go, hey, they need maintenance on that, right? All of a sudden, you've got 5 or 10 clients and you're doing $50, $70, $100,000 a month and they love you for it because they are saving millions of dollars a year, okay? This is by far and away the best way to make 10K a month, and it's also the fastest. I have people who I have helped hit 10K in the first 30 days of trying this because they had the important thing. They had industry expertise and they had knowledge. I taught them how to run a successful audit, which, by the way, you can do in a few hours, right? It's not hard. You just need to know the roadmap. Now, they've run the first audit, got paid, and now they're doing the implementation side, right, within the first 30 days. So this is where they're already at. Now, within 60, 90 days, this whole flywheel will be going because the implementation is usually done in quarters, which is 90 days for those uninitiated. So this is the way you're going to do it. Take your experience and your network. You now have something to sell them. You then find an implementation partner if you don't want to do it, or you can do it yourself and make 30 grand in that example. You are then going to bake in a consulting and maintenance side to every implementation you have done, and then you're going to repeat this system, and that's it. Fastest way to make 10K a month in 2025